Coming up tonight, Cameroon creates a commission to investigate the CAMAIR-CO flight runway incident after civil engineers reinstate the plane at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport. CAF has carried out an inspection tour of infrastructure to host AFCON 2021 with no declarations, even though delegates looked satisfied. The late Honorable Monjoa Lifaka is posthumously decorated Commander of the Cameroon Order of Valor, with mourners describing her as a strong advocate for peace. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
The CAMAIR-CO Embraer ERG-145 Flight 206 that ran off the runway at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport last evening has been reinstated. Staff of the Civil Engineering Corps reinstated the plane in the presence of officials of the air carrier, airport authorities, and the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Messina Ngale-Bibehe, who have details with Beatrice Ngom.
A faraway view of the night plane that slid off the runway Friday. Surrounded by safety teams, the plane will be brought back to track in a moment. The team from the Civil Engineering Corps is already on site. They are joined by officials of the Airport Authority, CAMAIR-CO, and Transport Board, all braving same climatic conditions that caused the airplane to skid off the runway at the Simalène International Airport to remove the airliner from its exit point.
C'est une opération extrêmement délicate.
It's an extremely difficult operation. It took us 4 hours to remove the plane from the ground and bring back on the runway.
The runway exit has not been attributed to any system failure, but to bad weather conditions.
Once we were informed of the incident, we immediately launched rescue operations. Passengers were safely deplaned and shuttled to destination. We then started the operation to remove the aircraft, but for visibility reasons, we had to suspend it for Saturday morning.
Pulled out of the ground after 4 hours of tireless work, the airplane is cleaned and back on the runway again.
A commission of inquiry has been created to determine the events leading up to the CAMAIR-CO runway incident. This is the outcome of a crisis meeting convened by Transport Chief Jean-Ernest Messina Ngale-Bibehe. Clarice Aretakang reports.
The crisis meeting brought together officials of the Ministry of Transport, Aéroport du Cameroun, Civil Aviation Authority, the Agency for Aerial Navigation Safety in Africa and Madagascar, and the Cameroon Airlines Corporation, CAMAIR-CO. It was an opportunity to come back on the events surrounding the incident.
The plane landed at 7:13 p.m. in the following climatic conditions: heavy storm and rainfall, violent winds, low visibility. Information gathered from the site revealed that after landing, the aircraft began gliding away from the runway 1,250 meters away and finally skid off 400 meters further away.
After the passengers and crew were evacuated to safety, other actions were undertaken. A technical commission of inquiry has been set up with missions to uncover the causes of the incident, the state of the aircraft prior to takeoff, but also on crisis management. Focus here will be on passenger and crew care and the timeliness of the communication which was delivered. The team has 48 hours to submit their findings to competent authorities.
The visiting CAF delegation to Cameroon has today toured different football facilities in Yaoundé to host AFCON 2021. They were at the Yaoundé Omnisports Stadium, Annex 1 and the Military Stadium to evaluate the fitness of the stadia. CAF delegation head Anthony Bafwe accompanied Sports Minister Narcisse Mwale-Kombi. Romeo Kenya reports.
Day one of a 7-day inspection visit. The Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex, pioneer interest of emissaries. In a meeting, the president of the local organizing committee of AFCON 2021, Professor Narcisse Mwale-Kombi, enlightens Anthony Bafwe and delegation on country's readiness to host AFCON 2021. Then, a round of the sports complex is made. The proposed site destined for the AFCON draw for June 25, 2021. Time to take off for the Yaoundé Omnisports Stadium. The 40,000-seater facility depicts its splendor and magnificence to CAF envoys at arrival. Next, the Annex 1 Stadium, illuminated and demarcated. A remodeled natural turf at the Yaoundé Military Stadium. CAF inspectors defy rainy climatic conditions to assess its eligibility. A visibly contented inspection delegation, all 23 CAF experts, depart for Garwa this Sunday for a similar activity.
The visiting CAF inspection delegation to the country has also scrutinized lodging infrastructure in Yaoundé, marked to host the AFCON 2021. Though the CAF officials made no declaration to the press, there were visibly signs of satisfaction over the infrastructure they visited. We have details with Gilbert Ongene.
The CAF delegation braved the downpour this Saturday afternoon in Yaoundé to visit and inspect the hotel facilities on the short list of CAF to host guests of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. All the lodging infrastructure visited on the outskirts of Yaoundé and in central town are 4-star hotels, some of which have already proven their worth during the CHAN 2020 competition.
The referees here were very happy. Most of them told that they expected to be in Yaoundé because they knew that they will sleep at Boone. So we are very proud, and we hope that also the personality that we will welcome for the CAN will be happy again.
2 of the 5 hotels are undergoing renovation and extension works in a bid to boost their lodging and other capacities. Accompanied by the Secretary General of the Central Governor's Office, Simon Etsil, the CAF delegation at each stop held a working session with the management of the facilities and proceeded to inspect some hotel rooms, restaurants, and conference halls.
Athletes from 11 countries have started the Douala Grand Prix International Athletics Competition today at the Japoma Stadium in the nation's economic capital city. The event, which is taking place for the 5th time in Cameroon, is a series run in African cities. Daniel Conde has the highlights of today's opening track and field event.
Saturday's high points were in the 800, 1,000, 1,500 and 5,000 hits. Cameroonian Evele Dinze conquered 12 rounds round the Japoma Stadium to back the men's 5,000-meter pursuit in 14 minutes 52 seconds. He had aimed for a better time performance, but illness prior to the race slowed his pace. In the men's 1,500-meter race, Cameroon was pipped to the finish line when a Djiboutian won it in 3 minutes 47 seconds. The women's race danced to the rhythm of Francophonie gold medalist Ngoye Akamabi. The Congolese took the 1,000 meters and then showed class in the relay. But Cameroonian Faria struck off an injury to win the women's 800 meters that had a DR Congo winner in the men's category in Gwari. The track and field event rounded off with a mixed relay in 4 times 400 meters won by DR Congo athletes. There was also triple jump as Cameroonian champion Marcel Mayagde attempted 17 meters. Meanwhile, javelin and shot put took place outside the stadium. The CAA event will wrap up with a 10-kilometer cross-country race in Douala.
Cameroon today joined the rest of the world to observe the International Day of Biodiversity, celebrated every 22nd of May. This year's event is observed under the theme, "We are part of the situation for nature." Alice May reports on what biodiversity is all about and some actions taken by the government to ameliorate biodiversity in Cameroon.
Plants, bacteria, Animals and humans are considered to have an enormous variety of lifespan on Earth, yet are faced with some challenges.
We need to have a network of collaborators following irregularly what is going on. We are planning through connections with some sectoral ministries, forest for instance, to make sure that we move following the same objective.
The government of Cameroon is putting up actions on how to preserve and ameliorate on biodiversity in the country.
Our activities are also spread into different directorates. Particularly, we have a directorate in charge of conservation. We have sensitization, we have follow-up. We work following three main pillars.
The Ministry of Environment used the celebration of the International Day of Biodiversity to examine what has been done so far to preserve biodiversity in the country while sensitizing the population on the importance of biodiversity. The link between human and biodiversity and its impact on the ecosystem was reviewed.
Biodiversity not far from green economy, which is increasingly indispensable in reducing pollution and maintaining environmental equilibrium for the well-being of the population. As Cameroon takes on green economy as a sure means to develop, Joyce Kimifuwajo reports that the population too is called upon to participate.
Green economy are not just words, but an economy hedged on pillars such as climate change, resource saving and management, circular economy, environmental protection, ecosystem protection and recovery, as well as natural disaster prevention. From this list, it's obvious and imperative that governments, policymakers and citizens have an interest in green economy for their livelihood. It potentially works towards decreasing environmental pollution and thus improves the quality of the soil, water and air, and also protect environmental well-being. Green economy is linked primarily to the respect of environment and maintaining equilibrium in the exploitation of elements such as the ecosystem, sun and the earth that could be devastating to the environment and to the life of man. At a time when world environmentalists attribute adverse climate change to human factors, the population needs to embrace more and more green economy to remedy the environment from eating them up.
One of the values the nation upholds is national solidarity, which is seen as a catalyst for peace, unity, and prosperity. National solidarity is demonstrated in the sense of shared heritage and commitment to the interests of fellow countrymen as a whole, rather than personal interests. Beatrice Losamba has more in continuation of our series on National Day activities.
One of the prerequisites to achieving peace, unity and prosperity that Cameroon cherishes is national solidarity. It is seen as a tool which will reduce inequality and social injustice and bring about sustainable development. To foster national solidarity in Cameroon, a school of thought holds that people ought to get involved, working to promote the general interest of Cameroonians, whether in position or simply in work posts as state workers, teachers, accountants, journalists, or so. It is about using our voices to champion the cause of solidarity and educating others on the concept of going beyond individual interests to promoting tolerance, patience, empathy, and compassion. Building a Cameroonian society where people are interdependent as people who share a heritage is seen as key to enhancing peace and unity. As it is said, together we are stronger, unity is strength. The concept of national solidarity is against ills like tribalism, nepotism, and embezzlement. It warrants that people desist from making isolation remarks, sympathize with those who are in need, and respond favorably to meet a need. Simply put, being debtors of the society of which we are a part.
The Rapid Intervention Battalion, the B in Kribi, is tirelessly securing Cameroon's maritime border in the Ocean Division of the South region. The area share a border with Equatorial Guinea and hosts many structural projects. Polycarp Ati has the rest of that story.
The Rapid Intervention Battalion, the B, plays a vital role in the protection of the maritime space and the population of the Ocean Division, starting from Cameroon Equatorial Guinea borders in Campo through a bombing to Senegal high seas of the Atlantic are petroleum extraction zones that the B gives maximum security against contraband.
The security here is made by security vessel with B soldier on board. We have the patrol and intervention made by 2 speedboats armed by B.
To ensure that the petroleum products are free from pirates, maritime activities like fishing have been prohibited in the zones.
We don't need fishermen, we don't need other vessels for navigation. The oil field is a very sensitive place.
The commander of the B in Kribi, Joseph Kunaka, says the ships docking at the Kribi deep sea port are protected. Many families in Kribi today benefit from the humanitarian gesture of the B, like the landmark bridge constructed at the Lobe Force by the late Colonel Abraham Avi Sivan, that today receives thousands of visitors and tourists on a monthly basis, and the construction of classrooms in many schools in Kribi.
You're watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. Thank you. The 2020 report of activities of the Economic and Financial Program of the Central African Economic and Monetary Community has been presented in Congo-Brazzaville this week. It indicates that the economic situation in member states has been stable in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic and security threats. Gerard Nanji Eyambe read through the report for the 7:30 news.
A total of 165 pages of annual report of economic and financial activities undertaken in all the 6 CEMAC member countries is what constitutes this annual report. The presentation note was prepared by the Technical Secretariat of PREF CEMAC in accordance with the provisions of Article 4 of Decision number 01/17 of CEMAC SSE PREF of January 23, 2017.
We have to present an annual report which summarizes the global economic and financial reforms undertaken at the level of the CEMAC region and the economic community of each member state.
The annual report must include 3 key aspects: the assessment of the regional economic situations, the evaluation of actions carried out by states and sub-regional institutions, recommendations and perspectives with regard to the objectives set by the Summit of Head of States and the COPL. The report also bears the main achievements of the program in 2020, the deviations from the planned targets, as well as the difficulties encountered.
African leaders have called for the respect of a United Nations Security Council resolution calling on the treatment of COVID-19 vaccines as a global public good. The call was made today during a peace and security meeting of the African Union Peace and Security Council. Cameroon was represented by the External Relations Minister Mbela. Charles Ebune has the rest of that story.
Cameroon had cashed the African Union COVID fund to the tune of 1.5 billion CFA francs as part of the Continental Mobilisation Fund to combat the pandemic.
Le Cameroun figure au premier rang des pays africains qui ont contribué d'une part.
Cameroon was amongst the first African countries to contribute to the elaboration of the Continental Anti-COVID strategy last April 22, 2020.
À la pandémie de la COVID-19.
Today, access to vaccines in Africa is key, as just 2 out of 10 of the targeted population has received a dose.
La délégation camerounaise accueille favorablement la résolution.
Cameroon favorably welcomes the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2565-2021, which declares COVID-19 vaccines as global health public good. The virtual meeting chaired by the Algerian Foreign Affairs Minister also brought together officials from all African agencies tasked with health issues.
The Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development says the decision by Central African states to ban the exportation of timber in the form of logs will boost economic activity. Gabriel Dodondoke was speaking during a workshop in Betua to educate civilians on benefits of the spotwood transformation that Cameroon is going to be experimenting with. We have details with Tala LT.
The forestry sector in Cameroon is one of the biggest employers, in spite of the fact that over 958 million cubes of wood is exported as logs each year. Banning the exportation of timber as log by the 1st of January 2022, experts say will greatly increase the socio-economic potentials of the forestry sector in Cameroon and the entire CAMAIR sub-region. The capacity building workshop for actors in the wood industry on the concept of special economic zone was a forum for the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Gabriel Dodondoke, to present the benefits of this decision to stakeholders.
At the moment, the date of the 1st January of 2022, the exportation of the timber will be forbidden. All of us, we have to bring our contribution so that this project can be a success for our country and our neighbor countries, for the interest of our populations.
During the workshop, in the presence of Governor Gregwan Vongo, it was said that more jobs will be created and new markets opened once the embargo on the exportation of timber in the form of logs go operational next year.
I have personally observed that most of our fellow citizens no longer comply with the protective measures prescribed by the government.
To a COVID-19 slot tonight, Bodwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Andreas Njo, will be discussing eligibility to COVID-19 vaccines. When the vaccines arrived, priority was given to health staff and people above 50 years of age. What is the situation today? Over to you, Bodwin.
Good evening to you. Those principally concerned when we had the arrival of the first doses for the vaccines in Cameroon, we had persons above 50, persons living with comorbidities and health personnel. When exactly can we get to a stage where the targets for those concerned with the ongoing vaccination exercise will be extended? Let's find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Andreas Njo, Deputy Permanent Secretary of the National Immunization Program. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Bodwin.
When can we get to a situation where the targets for this ongoing vaccination exercise will be extended?
Thank you so much. Already with the ongoing COVID-19 vaccine rollout, with the resources put in place by the government, I think we are already at that level. So from Monday the 24th, each person 18 years and above in Cameroon can benefit from COVID-19 vaccination. So we call on the population 18 years and above to go to the nearest health facility and get the COVID-19 vaccination.
Are there some modalities that must be respected before being vaccinated so that they should be aware before Monday?
Of course, the first thing is that you should be one who has not yet received the vaccine. So you can receive your first dose. For those who have received already a first dose, a second dose is okay. Now, for those who might have a contraindication, that will be assessed when they get to the vaccination center. So the message is that at the moment, every individual 18 years and above can go to the nearest COVID-19 vaccination center all over the country and get vaccinated.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andreas Njo, for that important piece of information. For Monday, the 24th of May, every Cameroonian above 18, you can go to any of the vaccination centers in the 10 different regions of Cameroon and have yourself vaccinated. Over to you.
Thanks, Bodwin. Senator Simon Anjangwo, member of the Cameroon's Senate from the Southwest region, has donated COVID-19 prevention kits and food items to the locals of the 4 subdivisions in Manyo Division. In a ceremony in Mamfe, the consignment was handed over to mayors for onward distribution to the municipalities. Ewane Pule was there.
Food items and COVID-19 preventive kits donated by the senator comprise of 80 cartons of soap, 50 bags of rice, 20,000 face masks, and 80 cartons of hand sanitizers.
After the session of last March, and with the discussion we had, especially the 9 bills that we deliberated upon, I felt it necessary with the present socio-political crisis in the country to make my people know exactly what is going on But then it would not have been possible for me to go without presenting something like food.
Representatives of the locals of the 4 subdivisions in Manyu Division, that is Mamfe Center, Akwaya, Eyumojog, and Upper Banyang, converge in Mamfe to receive the consignment for onward distribution in their respective municipalities.
We are glad, though as a surprise, we are glad that our father has thought of us again. We want to thank him for that. We want to thank him and say God should bless him.
Senator Simon Anja Angwo on the occasion reiterated his commitment to always assist his people in time of need.
The late Deputy Speaker of Cameroon's National Assembly has been raised posthumously to Commander of the National Order of Valor during an official funeral ceremony in Buea today. Over a dozen orators hailed the astute politician for her contribution to development and for shining Cameroon's light at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Esther Kima has the details from Buea.
A life well spent in 62 years, celebrated with telling tributes on Honorable Emilia Monjowa Lifaka, who makes her last entry into the Buea ceremonial ground. Those whose lives she had marked turned out to witness the outpour of eulogies, where the disease's ability to combine hard work and dependency on God was highlighted. A committed Catholic Christian of great faith, hailed by the Archbishop of Bamenda, His Grace Andrew Nkea, for her devotedness to serve her community. The Speaker of the National Assembly, represented by the Senior Deputy Speaker, Honorable Ilariong Itong, expresses grief on the transition of the lone female Deputy Speaker, honored by the presence of over 60 parliamentarians. She is applauded for her unflinching loyalty to the CPDM party as substantive member of the Central Committee and permanent coordinator of FACO Division, an example of an accomplished grassroots politician. The Vice President of the College of Advisors of the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CIRAC, leaves a void in the association founded by First Lady Mrs. Chantal Biya and is remembered as a woman of great value. Her leadership at the CPA Executive Committee was impressive, and her promotion of Commonwealth values and principles applauded by the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. With a condolence message from the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, read by the National Assembly Clerk in recognition of her service to the states, Honorable Emilia Monjowa Lifaka was posthumously raised to the rank of Commander of the National Order of Valor. Her soul is commended to God with the hope that she will be raised to life on the last day as the mourners march on for her interment.
Today's funeral ceremony of Honorable Monjowa Lifaka was attended by many, especially sons and daughters from the southwest region, whom the late MP impacted. Olivia Mbai got to her reactions. Her report.
The late Honorable Emilia Monjowa Lifaka had several feathers on her cap, and so the memories are as diverse. To many, she was an emblematic politician.
I knew her as a convinced and convincing, steadfast militant of the party. She had love for the nation, love for her population.
A wonderful organizer. She put her heart into everything that she did and made sure that it was done to perfection.
Through her foundation and the FACO West Scholarship Scheme, the fallen MP embarked on a number of humanitarian actions to alleviate suffering. To her constituents, the loss is huge and irreplaceable.
We are just crying because we never get such a parliamentarian in this locality again.
Honorable Emilia Lifaka will be remembered by custodians of tradition as one who embossed her seal on her heritage.
We discussed a lot on the way forward for us, the FACO people and the FACO chiefs in general. It will take us, the FACO people, a very long time to recover from this loss.
As the falling star takes her big sleep, many are consoled by the fact that she has left several footprints in the sands of time.
Gregoire Mathurin Belibi, one of Cameroon's performing arts protagonists who died last April 17, has been laid to rest this Saturday at the Mvole Cemetery. Special prayers were said for his repose during a Requiem Mass. Gerard Nanje Yambe has the legacy of the late Gregoire Mathurin Belibi.
Described as one of the indomitable lions of the culture of Cameroon, Grégoire Mathurin Belibi will be remembered for the number of roles he played in the different categories of performing arts. The Lion and the Pearl by Wole Soyinka, The Illuminated Forest of Professor Gervais Mendoze, The Old Negro and the Medal of Ferdinand Leopold Oyono are just few of the many films he featured in.
On stage, he was very good. He has that capacity to make a difference between a theater as a stage and a film.
It's always been a good thing to perform with him. He was very skillful and always there for us young actors and always gave us good advice.
Born on November 8, 1961 in Yaoundé, the deceased, who was a member of several associations, including the Association of Cultural Diamonds of Cameroon, Cameroon Civil Society of Literary and Dramatic Arts, and the Cameroon Society of Audiovisual and Photographic Arts, among others, is now resting in peace at the Vole Cemetery, Lik Belibi, at the heart of Yaoundé.
The keys of the newly constructed St. John the Baptist Catholic Church Olezua in the nation's capital have been officially handed to the Roman Catholic Church. This was during a consecrated high mass celebrated by the Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé, His Grace Jean Barga. The keys were handed by the Military Engineering Corps through the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betiasomo. Gilbert Ongene was there.
This ritual marks the official opening of the newly constructed St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Olezua, Yaoundé, to Christians. It took less than a year for the Military Engineering Corps to erect this structure. It comes to replace a small and old building that used to stand here, a glaring example of perfect collaboration between the church and the state.
Long time we got here a church, a small one, very poor, and today we are proud to inaugurate the new chapel, the new place of prayers. We want to dedicate it to the youth and also all the population on this ground.
This new church building, constructed with ecologically friendly material as a sign of man's harmony with nature, is expected to be the temple of reconciliation within a backdrop of a conflict-stricken society. The inauguration mass was attended by the top brass of Cameroon's military, state dignitaries, and a cross-section of visibly elated Roman Catholic Christians.
And that ends the 7:30 news on CRTV. Join Atabadinuma at 8:30 for the news in the French language. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.